Alright guys, so 2023 is over. It's already February 2024, and I didn't get this video out as quick as the last 2 years, but so after in 2022, when I posted my video, my favorite films from the year, I did before the Oscar nominations came out, and after I watched the three that I had to catch up on, such as Women Talking, Tar, and Elvis. After watching Tar, I I regret posting that list without seeing Tar, and also I regret also not putting Scream 5 on there. So I just wanted to get through this year and see what the Oscar nominations are, so I can catch up on the movies that they thought was good that I didn't get to see before they posted the nominations. But so yeah, this is different, and also this is going to be a complete ranking this year. I'm gonna try to talk about films that I've seen that I haven't talked about, before, during 2023. So I made a few videos talking about some films that came out. So Creed. If you want to know my thoughts on Creed 3, the 4 DCU films that came out, you can see that on my DCU ranking. I did a mid-year review of some big franchise films that I had come out before July. So you can go watch that. And but I'm gonna talk about movies that I did not get the chance to talk about. So let's get right into it. So coming in right at the bottom at 42 is the worst film that I've seen this year. But also remember, I'm a guy of who I don't like to watch a lot of movies that get terribly bad reviews or just anything that looks really stupid all the time. I still have not seen Morbius, and that really wasn't on any my 2022 worst list, but just don't expect a lot of bad movies that I hate. So the worst movie that I saw in 2023 was 80 for Brady. Just the most unfunniest thing I had to ever sit through, that I was forced to by my mom. The actresses, Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Rita Moreno, who I'm most disappointed in, are just terrible in this film. But actually, I think Sally Field is the highlight of the film. I think she's the only good part, because I thought she was legit funny in it. But everything else about this movie is just cringe. I hate everything about it. I don't want to even go deeper. The only thing I found funny was when Rita Moreno was I forgot if she was high or just she was high on drugs, and she was walking through the room, and she found a masquerade mask. She takes off, and she's just out, and she just out of context says "eyes wide shut," and I thought that was funny, just because she thought of a movie that has a masquerade ball scene, and I would think the same thing too if I saw that type of mask. So that's the only good thing about this movie, but overall, terrible movie. It's coming in at number 41, another movie that I did not like this year that was really disappointing, and that was Five Nights at Freddy's. Now this is higher than 80 for Brady, just because there are things I like, and that is mainly just Josh Hutcherson is pretty good as Mike Schmidt. I think Josh Hutcherson is a good actor, and I think it's cool that he kind of got a comeback into make in a popular movie. And the animatronics by the Henson Company look really good, and I do actually wish the Academy would recognize this movie for its practical effects, but what are you gonna do? And the look of the film does look good, and the production is good. I think some things are good, but overall this movie really fails at script, story, just characters. I could really just talk about more how much I do not like this movie, and that is mainly it's not a good horror movie. It's not scary. There's no real suspense that there's no rising suspense or tension throughout the movie. It's just not a fun movie to watch. I just don't want. It made me mad. And I know I get this. I hate being people fans of the film, or people who like it. They say oh, what did you want? And an hour and 40-minute movie of a guy sitting in a chair in an office looking at cameras. Okay, no, but I still you could still make a good decent FNAF movie, but where it's a guy isolated, and I don't think it was the right direction to go, because I think the director Emma Tammy wanted a Spielbergian approach. Was a terrible idea. I think Five Nights, if this movie should have more of like a John Carpenter feel than Steven Spielberg, because I just I just don't like that the movie is overall it's more geared towards kids and not teens or adults. So it's just, this movie would turn off some like fans of the game and just people who just want to see horror film. It's just not a fun movie. I hate everything about it, and this is just not what I wanted from a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which is why I'm happy that Blumhouse kind of knows that the movie isn't that good, and so that, you know, they're gonna work more on the script, and I hope the next film will be a little more darker and actually scarier and good. So at number 40, this isn't a film that I hate, but I was just really disappointed and just bored while watching it. That was Evil Dead Rise, and I think this guy says it best.
We held the elevator scene over Lee's head to try and get the schedule.
The goddamn movie.
What's that?
This movie fucking sucks.
What?
I need you to let go of your fear. Let go of the guilt. Let go of whatever was and walk into what is.
I feel those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death. I see those stripes and take a step.
So coming in at number 38 is Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumania, a very disappointing third entry into one of the Marvel series that I like and enjoy, by just not having most of the things that I like from those movies, and it just feels like they're trying to set up Kang more. Not a good move on this film's parts, and I just wish they just gave us another low-level Ant-Man movie, which this is not. And I don't like Scott's sister in this, Cassie, who was a supportive daughter in the previous two films, and just now is a daughter who hates her own father. And but overall, this is just, it's not a perfect movie. It had its fun moments with Bill Murray, but overall, this is a movie that really shows that the Marvel thing is kind of now just officially done. So 37 is The Exorcist Believer by David Gordon Green, who did the Halloween trilogy. And I did watch the very first Exorcist. I still haven't seen any of the other sequels, especially everyone wants me to see Exorcist 3 the most. And but I really did like the first Exorcist. It was a really great 70s horror film. I just love it. I love William Friedkin's direction in that film to make it just feel like a real, like make everything feel real, like a real house, like a real family that's really going through something. I love it. I really loved it. This, I will say, like, it did have like the first few minutes, like the first half, I thought was pretty decent. You know, them looking for the daughters. All that was good, but then like it just goes downhill with all the Exorcist stuff. The finale is very dull. It was an interesting choice though to have like one of the girls die, so that was a daring choice. But this just could have been like another Exorcist movie, it feels like. But it only makes it different because they brought like they brought the original actress back from the first one, and it just feels very Ellen Bernstein. It's just bringing her back. It just feels like they're doing it and like she can't even really do anything because she's old. She's not like Jamie Lee Curtis, where Jamie Lee Curtis, she's old, but like she's still got a little more like youth. She can still like do some like stunt work, but you can't really like have Ellen Bernstein be your like the Jamie Lee Curtis of this like new trilogy. But I'll still see where this franchise goes.
You're the Blue Beetle.
I could use that arsenal right about now!
God, you never ask.
Hell yeah! They've been trying to stop the way, don't stop!
Number 35 is John Wick Chapter 4. This is a movie a lot of people loved, but I thought it had some cool action scenes. But look, I'm overall not big into the John Wick movies. I like the first John Wick and everything else. I think the three sequels overall that have come out, I just think they're very just mediocre, and they get boring and tedious overall. And so I didn't really care for this one that much. It had its cool moments, but it's just a very dull franchise in my opinion, and I don't think it's as good as everyone says it is. So coming in at number 34 is probably the most controversial film on my list. That is Sound of Freedom. So the film that if you love this movie, you are homophobic, and if you hate this movie, you're seen as a pedophile. I'm middle, so I don't know how that affects me. So look, I saw this movie just because of all of the hype around it, and it was basically the indie underdog of 2023. It was a packed theater where I saw it. Like, it was really packed. Like, I went with my friend and my dad, and we were like not even sitting together for the entire film because we had to like pick separate seats. That's how packed the theater was. So this movie was pretty big, and I kind of liked how it did bring like two actors that were kind of big in their day, but then got blacklisted for certain reasons. You know, Jim Caviezel, Amir Sorvina. So seeing in a movie that got a lot of attention like this was good, even though one of them is not really in it that much, and they advertised them being in it a lot. And I really love Bill Camp. Bill Camp's an actor. He's been in a few movies, like Lincoln and Birdman. And he's really good in this movie. I really like this one scene that he has when he talks to Jim Caviezel's character, Tim Ballard. His acting in it is really good, and I actually really wish the Oscars would kind of like put aside their biasy for it, and like I kind of wish he got like supporting actor over like Sterling K. Brown. And there's some really good shots. I think the director is pretty good, and but overall, I think the movie's just fine. It's more mediocre. Like, it's got a really good story going, and I think it is something to be aware of, that it is a problem. But as a film whole, it's not, I don't think it's does a good job of like portraying this character, because I think Tim Ballard, I think that there's been a lot of news stories that came out after this film about him, and so that we might get another Tim Ballard movie in the future. But I would like to see it done, in a non-biased way, I really see a more like liberal take on Tim Ballard happening in the future. But overall, this movie, it just feels like the beginning of a bigger movie, because the entire movie is just Jim Caviezel just saving this one kid. And I wish it was more than that. I wish it was just about this guy who is trying to save a lot of kids and trying to like work with the government, or like trying to trickle down on these operations, and because that's what the movie says at the end, and they don't go into that more. And I overall didn't really feel like I learned anything about Tim Ballard besides he had a family, and he quit his job at the CIA. And the movie ended saying that his wife was a big inspiration. I'm like, how? I didn't know they only had a few scenes together, and when it's just her really saying, you go out and get those kids. Like, I'm not saying the movie it's lying, but like I wish like there was more to her. Look, all I'm saying is I wish the movie was more like Oppenheimer and like going into these like character psyches and like what they were. And that's what I wish it did more. But again, it's not a bad movie or a good movie. It's a very middle ground film that has a very huge subject that I wish just did a better job with. So coming in at number 33 is our first Oscar nominee, Best Picture nominee, and this is my least favorite, but it's got some good things, and that is Maestro. I thought this movie was all right. It has a really cool, like, long take in the opening when Maestro is called to, like, to compose something. And Bradley Cooper is pretty good. Carey Mulligan is really good. I like her when she plays these roles that can get very feisty. The look is good. Everything else is just good, and I think the movie was just all right. I got not much to say about it. It was just like it was inside a very interesting person who composed West Side Story. That's what I think of it. Alright, so coming in at number 32 is another film that kind of disappointed me from this year, but it did have some good things to make me put over Maestro, and that was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This was disappointing because I'm a huge fan of the Mission Impossible movies, and wasn't too keen on how, like, the fact that this was going to be, like, a two-parter, which I don't really like sometimes, because, like I said with Across the Spider-Verse, I don't care for two-parter stories. They're not interesting to me, and it also means, like, part 1 does feel like filler. This kind of felt like filler, but I feel like Cruise, like, he tried to make it feel like there were, like, stakes by killing off characters that I wish they did not kill off. That's just, like, one of the most disappointing things. And the fact that they, like, introduced this new character by Haley Atwell, I didn't like, because I felt like over the last two movies we had, like, a really good established cast, and especially Fallout, because I felt like there was like a real good, like, 4-team. Well, I do kind of wish Jeremy Renner would still be part of the cast, and I hope he comes back, because he definitely because I know Jeremy Renner, like, dodged a bullet from being killed off in Fallout, because that was supposed to happen. Luckily, that did not happen. And but I don't know. I just don't like Grace. I don't hate her character. I just don't like that she's being added when this is, like, meant to be, like, this is kind of meant to be, like, the finale. I'm not sure though if this is meant to be a finale or like a or just like after this, Cruise will take a break and then he'll come back in his 70s, because, like, Harrison Ford really inspired him to keep making these movies until he dies. But still, on a technical level, it is pretty good. The stunts were still good. But to be honest, I don't really think you could top a fucking, like, helicopter action scene from the last one. I'm sorry, Cruise. I think the sixth one was hard. It's really just hard to top. So number 31 is another Best Picture nominee, and that is American Fiction. American Fiction is just this had a good. I think the story is really good, and I legit think it's a good mockery of white people and how all we think of and how we perceive like black people in stories, and how, like, we shouldn't always think of them as, like, drug dealers and stuff. So I liked what the movie was definitely saying, and I think Jeffrey Wright's character is interesting, but I think the ending could have been a lot better. And also, I think this is another movie that was not marketed well, or like the trailers didn't really depict it well, because to me, like, I feel like, is it supposed to say that, like, I don't know, it made it seem like the whole movie was just Jeffrey Wright writing a story that, like, that takes off that he doesn't like, but most of it is him, like, trying to take care of his mother after, like, his sister dies, and the mother is, like, has Alzheimer's, and that's what the movie is mostly about, and him trying to and connecting with this woman. So the movie is a lot more to it. I wish the trailer explained more. And I thought what the movie was gonna do was, like, at the end he decides to, like, write a book to show people, like, what his true life is, and that, taking care of his mother and reconnecting after his sister dies. And I thought that's what the movie would be about. Well, like, what the movie would end with. But no, it kind of has more of, like, a sillier ending, which I don't think it really, which I wish it didn't do. Because Insane, it just really rips off Wayne's World, the ending of Wayne's World. But it definitely had some good things about it, but, when it comes to, like, writing and acting, but the direction is pretty bland from this guy who's, like, a first-time director.
If you lead, the Seven Kingdoms will follow.
So, number 29 was the biggest surprise for me of how much I actually enjoyed it, and that was the Super Mario Brothers movie. I like the original 1983 Super Mario Brothers. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I like a lot about it, from production design, acting, the craziness of it all. But this movie, which I thought was going to be, like, annoying and just nothing but catering to the fans, like Five Nights at Freddy kind of was. But this actually, I actually ended up enjoying it just because was just a good, fun experience. It did have its cringy moments, and I still do prefer the original. But, you know, it's still, like, I think it still came across, and I thought at the end, like, it actually did give me, like, the Super Mario Brothers still saving the day, despite them being separated throughout the entire thing. So, I like that it did kind of show that, like, they still nailed that part at the end. And I'm willing to see, like, how far this whole universe is going to go. And the animation was really good. Number 28 is Cocaine Bear. Fun Elizabeth Banks directed film. I'd never seen her 2 films before, but this was a fun movie overall. I liked the performances from Alden Ehrenreich, Kerry Russell, Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family. To see him in this, he was kind of funny. The final performance from Ray Liotta was really good. O'Shea Jackson, the guy from The Terminal, I think. I thought they all gave fun performances, and the bear effects were kind of cool. And I think they got Weta. Even though I do kind of wish they did try to get like a puppet, whatever the effects they used for the Great Outdoors, the John Hughes film. I enjoyed it. It's a fun comedy, fun gore. Liked it. It was R-rated. Fun movie overall. I don't really have much to say. So number 27 is Anatomy of a Fall. This was a pretty solid crime drama. I liked the actress. I think actually she deserves the best actress award. Some of the shots are pretty good. There's some good scenes with her and her husband arguing. The courtroom stuff can sometimes be interesting, but at the same time, this movie definitely I feel like it need to be trimmed. Some stuff goes on way too long, but I still like it. It's still pretty good, and the actress gives a really great performance.
But I've been looking for this all my life.
So number 25 is The Creator. This is a bit of a comeback for Gareth Edwards, who hasn't really made a film since Rogue One back in 2016. And Gareth Edwards could be a pretty mixed director, because I really like Monster. His very first film, his indie monster romance film that is just Godzilla meets Before Sunrise, and but then Godzilla, Rogue One, I have my issues with that films, with their mainly just their characters and just how uninteresting they can be. But this film, it was a bit of an improvement. The characters I think were interesting. John David Washington was really good in it. And the child actor was pretty decent, and the effects really good for a movie that cost around like $80 million. And yeah, movies like The Flash, which don't look good. I still like The Flash though. This movie definitely deserves the Academy Award for visual effects. It's really good. Creator, fun movie, and good. I hope Gareth Edwards continues to make other movies. 24 is Rebel Moon, Part 1. No one likes this movie but me. I admit it's not a perfect movie, but it's guilty pleasure. It's the guilty pleasure of 2023, in my opinion. I'm going to do a Zack Snyder ranking when Part 2 comes out, so I'll give more of my thoughts when that comes around.
Don't do something you're going to regret for the rest of your life. I ain't got nothing but regret.
In number 21, we have Ridley Scott's Napoleon. Not a lot of people like the film, but I don't know. I think I personally think it is fine as just a character study on this guy's rise to power during a country's dark period of in and out governments. And it's visually masterpiece, and Joaquin Phoenix and Vanessa Kirby are really good. I think their chemistry is really good. Ridley Scott, he might not pick the best script sometimes, like Alien Covenant, but his movies will always still look good, and his direction will always be really good. So, Ridley Scott, he needs a good script, but like Spielberg, like, they're not bad directors. They just need to pick good scripts. And I know deep down they do have talent.